everybody. Doug Dunbar, 10 o'clock. Let's get underway. Breaking news out of Iraq tonight. You've heard by now the United States military still trying to figure out if they have any American casualties from Iranian airstrikes.
Good morning.
Video in tonight purported to be that of a dozen missiles or so landing at two different Iraqi military installations that also house U.S. troops. One round of missiles we know slammed into the Al-Assad air base. The others hit at a base near Erbil, Iraq. As of tonight, the United States military still searching buildings for any possible casualties. Iran's airstrikes are in retaliation for that U.S. strike last week that killed this man, Iran's top general, Qasem Soleimani. Tonight, Iran is threatening even more measures if United States forces retaliate for tonight's missile strikes. Just over an hour ago, in fact, President Trump also tweeted. First, we heard from him tonight. Here it is in its entirety. He says, all is well. Missiles launched from Iran at two military bases located in Iraq. Assessment of casualties and damages taking place now. So far, so good, says the president. We have the most powerful and well-equipped military anywhere in the world by far. He said he'll be making a statement, as you can read there, tomorrow morning. Political reporter Jack Fink is monitoring the breaking events tonight over in the CBS Tower for us in Dallas. Jack, let's start with this. What do you know as far as what the president's been doing throughout the evening?
Well, Doug, President Trump met with his national security team this evening in the White House Situation Room. Earlier, we saw Defense Secretary Mark Esper and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrive at the White House to discuss the situation with the president. The Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark Milley was also there. The White House announced in the last hour that the president did speak with Germany's chancellor and the Emir of Qatar today about the situation in Iraq and Iran.
So let me ask you this. We're going to hear, obviously, what the president says tomorrow morning. We don't have a time as of right now, but what would he and his advisors likely be discussing through the evening tonight?
Well, I did speak with retired Major General John Altenberg, who's now an attorney in Washington, and he said that they would likely be discussing the priority, which is now to protect U.S. forces in the Middle East and making sure that they have enough forces there to do that job. He also told me that another priority likely to be discussed is how they're going to move U.S. troops around and also how they are going to prepare a counterattack.
It all makes sense. What do we know regarding the Iraqi bases that were hit, again, as I mentioned earlier, that house also United States military personnel as well?
Well, the Pentagon said tonight that they are still doing assessments of all the damage there, but we do know that President Trump visited the Al-Assad air base more than 1 year ago, back in December of 2018, and Vice President Mike Pence and Second Lady Karen Pence were just there at the Al-Assad base on the Saturday before Thanksgiving to surprise troops.
I know you made a few phone calls at least tonight. Don't know who you got a hold of, but any reaction from members of Congress from North Texas about these missile attacks from Iran?
Well, all we saw tonight were two tweets from members of Congress from North Texas. First, Colin Allred, who said, quote, "I am praying tonight for the safety of all our men and women in uniform serving in Iraq." And Mark Vesey said, quote, "Praying for the safety of our brave military personnel." Of course, Doug, we will continue to monitor the situation.
Okay, so much more to come, obviously, with the president's statement tomorrow, too. Jack, thank you very much from our CBS Tower tonight. As soon as the Pentagon did confirm the attacks on the bases in Iraq, the stock market futures tanked right away. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures fell nearly 400 points pretty quickly, but we took a look at the numbers a few moments ago. They've since rebounded. Right now, the opening of the Dow tomorrow morning looking down in the neighborhood of 85 points, but that could fluctuate overnight as well. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, meanwhile, says our state is seeing consequences from the U.S. tensions with Iran. At a domestic terrorism discussion today in Austin, the governor says that there have been 10,000 attempted cyber attacks on state-owned computers and networks, and that's in just the last 48 hours. The governor says none of the networks has been compromised. So how did we get to this point? Tensions, as we know, ratcheted up on New Year's Eve. That's when protesters attacked the U.S. embassy in Iraq. President Trump placed the blame squarely on Iran. Then, just this last Thursday, January 2nd, the U.S. launched an airstrike at the Baghdad airport, killing Qasem Soleimani, the second most powerful man in Iraq. After several rounds of increasing rhetoric from both the United States as well as Iran, Iran then, of course, launched those strikes tonight on those two joint Iraqi and United States military air bases.